delicious. Is it? Absolutely. It was inspired by a recipe from the Philippines. But in making this video, I was inspired by a question from my cousin Pinky. I misspelled the word adobo. I said Adobo, which is incorrect, of course. So, wait no longer. This is how it was made. And now you're wondering, how was it done? Well, first of all, you have to cut the pork up in bite-sized pieces, and then you've got to brown it on all sides. I think it's called braising. And as you know, beef is very expensive in the stores. Pork is a lot cheaper. This particular pork was bought at $3 a pound at the international store. Onions and garlic, of course. I love onions and I love garlic. And of course, instead of using an entire onion, the lady used just half of an onion, half of a large onion, and 4 cloves of garlic. I know 5 is shown, but 4. Then of course the onions and the garlic are chopped up in fine pieces, very fine pieces, because it's going to be added to the pork. The pork that is already being braised in the frying pan. If you like to cook, then you know that there is something about adding onion and garlic to meat being cooked. The smell, the aroma is just amazing. As much as I love my birds just outside my kitchen window, this held my attention. Just watching this being prepared was a work of art. As you can see, the onion and garlic were mixed in well with the meat, and that's a vital part of the recipe. Looks good, doesn't it? But we still have a long way to go. Cooking is sort of like making love, should not be rushed. So now, at this juncture, you do have the onion, garlic, and the braised meat being mixed together well, and the aroma, you should be here. The first magical ingredient is soya sauce. I like this brand, but you may choose any brand that you wish. And now you add 1 cup of soya sauce to this culinary work of art. The smell is just absolutely fantastic. You can almost smell it, can't you? Next, brown cane sugar. Keep in mind that I'm not trying to duplicate the recipe from the Philippines. I'm adding a little bit of a Caribbean touch. And now we add 2 teaspoons of brown cane sugar and 2 teaspoons of black pepper. I do have a lot of friends and viewers in the Philippines, and I just want to remind you that I'm not trying to copy the recipe, but rather I found the recipe inspiring. So what I'm trying to do is to duplicate your recipe, but with a little bit of a Caribbean touch. Okay? So I do have a lot of respect for the cooking and the savory foods of the Philippines. So now you know. So on we go. We do have the pork, the braised pork, the cut up onions and garlic, right? And we have added 2 teaspoons of brown cane sugar, and we have added 2 teaspoons of black pepper. So there it is. It's all in there. So just a little bit of stirring now, mixing if you will, and we are ready to go on. By the way, this recipe was also made using oxtail seasoning instead of black pepper, and it turned out to be really, really delicious. And now you have a choice. You can use white vinegar or red wine vinegar. In my mind, cooking is a creative art, and you should be allowed to be as creative as you wish. In this particular recipe, of course, 2 bay leaves are added along with red wine vinegar. So now you know, bay leaves and red wine vinegar. Okay, so as I said, you could have added white vinegar or red wine vinegar. Don't stir, just pour it over everything. And then, right after that, you add 1.5 cups of water. Plain, pure, drinking water. Now you may gently stir the ingredients. Good. Again, it's worth repeating. 2 bay leaves, and here we added red wine vinegar, but you could have just as soon add organic vinegar if you wish. And now turn the stove down low because it's simmer time. And now you'll want to put the lid on your pot, and you'll want to simmer for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Make sure the pork is done. So what do you do for 1 hour and 15 minutes? I like watching the birds, but you could just as soon read a book, watch television, call your neighbor, call a friend. Something we don't do much anymore, and that is to send a handwritten note to someone, just to say, I'm thinking of you. Have you ever gotten a handwritten note in the mail? Feels good, doesn't it? So, after 1 hour and 15 minutes or so, this is what you have. Fully cooked with a lot of gravy. But of course you have a choice. You can just remove the lid, and for an additional 20 minutes or so, just go ahead and let the liquid evaporate, leaving only the flavor in the pork. This is a choice, and it's a good one. Remove the lid from your pot and just let the liquid evaporate, leaving just the flavor in the pot. A word of caution, don't get rid of all the liquid, because you'll need some gravy for your rice and broccoli. So there you have it. I can guarantee you that if you make this recipe, you'll make it over and over and over again. And why not? Boneless pork is only about $3 a pound. And beef, well, you know the price of beef, right?